Hi guys, welcome to Cook to Nourish. Today I have brought for you yet another healthy recipe. This is the recipe for grain-free pizza. Now let me tell you, this pizza is nothing like your traditional pizza, right? It's actually much better. That's really my honest opinion. I find it so delicious. Pizza is one of the the junk foods that once people transition to a clean diet, they do occasionally miss it, especially when you're outside or Friday nights, you get that craving. But believe me, this cauliflower based crust is so delicious. And although I don't put any cheese on top, and the toppings that I make for this, the two sauces that I use, and I usually use both of these, so I'm going to show you both those sauces. I use both of them together, and that gives me the perfect combination of deliciousness, that with the creaminess of the green sauce and the tomato like sauce, which does not have tomatoes. And then for toppings I use a variety of vegetables again. So this is really nutrient dense food, because you have cauliflower for the crust, and then additional toppings for additional vegetables for toppings. And then you could also add any other kind of meat protein like chicken or shrimp, but I really prefer the vegetarian version. Alright, so let's get started. So today I'm going to use frozen cauliflower rice. This I get from BJ's. It's pretty economical, and I'm going to use about roughly 1.5 of this package. I'm going to measure it later after I thaw it. So I like to thaw this in like a steamer, where I have this fine mesh steam, sieve, and then I place the frozen cauliflower over boiling water, and then just cover it with the lid. Steam it for about 5 minutes. You could also use the microwave for steaming it. Now after it's steamed, it's like you don't have to really cook it, but make sure it's not frozen, right? And pretty much cauliflower cooks very fast. And now I'm going to measure it using a measuring cup. Yep, it's a little hot. So so let's see how my measurement has been so far. I just kind of eyeballed a little bit. So we need about 3 cups. You don't have to be super exact here, because we are going to be making a dough, so you can add a little bit of flour here and there, and the dough will still come together. So as long as you remember that, that's fine. But still, I like by starting with 3 cups of the cauliflower rice. So that's about 2 cups now. And finally, let's see how much we got here. I think it's about 3 cups. There you go. I knew it. See, I'm so good with measurements. That's true, really. I can eyeball things, and I knew it was going to be about 3 cups. So there you go, and maybe a little bit extra. That's fine. And I'm just going to add all that, and now we are going to squeeze all the water out. So now this is really, really need to exercise some muscle power here. And boy, am I so grateful that I don't have any inflammation in my fingers now, because there was one point when in my life, two years ago, when I would not be able to do this, what I'm doing now. So actually grateful for the diet that I am on, that is allowing me to do all this, right? 3 cheers. Okay, so that's done. Now I like to just quickly pass this cauliflower rice that I have kind of extracted the water out of through a food processor, pulse it for a few
seconds, like 20 seconds or so. That's all I did, and just so that it gets really finer. You could also skip this step and just use a masher, like a potato masher, and mash it fine. That should work as well. I just like to quickly give it a pulse. And now I'm added it to this mixing bowl, and I'm just going to form the dough here. So next we are going to add the cassava flour, and that's about 1/4 cup of cassava flour that I'm adding here. And next we also need some arrowroot starch, so that's about 3 tablespoons of arrowroot starch. I'm going to quickly add it. Now again, this is a bit rough here because towards the end, depending upon how much water is still there in your cauliflower rice, you may need to add additional arrowroot flour or cassava flour. And now I added about 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt and 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric and 1/2 teaspoon of oregano, dried oregano. Now you could omit the turmeric if you wanted to, but I feel like it gives it a nice color as well as flavor, so I added. You could also actually add nutritional yeast instead of the turmeric. That would also give some flavor, so I kind of use them interchangeably. And now see that you do not have to add any water here because there is water still in the cauliflower. Even though you have extracted most of the water out, there is still a lot of cauliflower. As you can see, I didn't add any water here, and the dough is coming together. It's come together actually pretty fast. There you go. Now since it's a little bit dry here, I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil, about a teaspoon or so, and that just makes it nice and glossy kind of dough. I do it to all my dough. And now at this point, if for whatever reason your dough is very sticky, say for example your cauliflower rice had more water in it, then what you need to do is add some more flour. Okay, and now I'm ready to kind of press this. I have this baking tray, as you can see, put parchment paper over it, and I'm just going to flatten the dough using my hands. And it's just kind of again a little bit of arm wrestling or finger wrestling, and just keep patting the dough, and then it will come together. It will kind of keep expanding, and you can make about, I think, about a 1/4 inch thick, or about, I would say, about 10 to 12 centimeter diameter a circle, and see, about kind of, I think, that size. Now we'll bake this at 375 degrees for about 25 to 28 minutes. Next, I'm going to show you how I make the two sauces. So this first one is the tomato-free pizza sauce I make using cranberries. So I added some olive oil and then 1/2 cup of frozen cranberries and 1 cherry. Now you could use either fresh or frozen. And then I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of chopped red onion, and about a clove of garlic finely chopped. And then I'm just going to let these cook for a few minutes till they get softened, because they're frozen cranberries, so I'm going to just let them cook for a little while. And as they get cooking, I'm going to add a few spices. So I'm going to add some spices here now. Just a little bit of sea salt, about 1/2 teaspoon, about half a teaspoon or quarter teaspoon of cayenne pepper or Kashmiri chili powder, and about a quarter teaspoon of cumin. And you could add additional spices as you like. And now we're just going to blend this. So I'm just adding that. Be careful, it's the hot stuff. I transferred that to the blender. I'm adding about half a cup of pumpkin puree, which you can again use either canned or you can use homemade. And then I'm going to, to give it a little tartness, I'm adding about a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. And next up is 1/4 cup of water. And just blend all this together. So you get this really thick kind of puree or sauce, and it's absolutely delicious, trust me. You can add additional sweetener to it if you like, but I just like it the way it is. Now the next sauce is also I like to do both when I make the pizza, because I just like that combination. This is very simple, avocado and cilantro with some lime. I add half a green chili just to give it a slight kick. Of course you have to omit that for AIP. And some cilantro, about 1/4 to half a cup of cilantro, fresh cilantro. And again about a quarter teaspoon of sea salt. And I'll add some 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil here, and a tablespoon of lime juice or lemon juice. I'm using lime here, so just squeezing about a tablespoon of lime juice, and then add a little bit water to blend it all up. I'm using about 1/4 cup of water, and blitz it all together, and you get a very nice creamy avocado cilantro cream sauce. And that's absolutely delicious because it's so creamy. This gives the the kind of cheesy component to the pizza, which the tomato sauce cannot give, and we're missing the dairy here, so that's why I like to add this avocado one too. Now for the topping, you can do whatever toppings you want, like you can use shredded chicken or shrimp, but I like to do this quick sauteed vegetables, where I'm sauteing some red onions, mushrooms, and spinach. So that's about a cup of mushrooms added. So I'm just keeping on sauteing them on medium heat until they get cooked, and also adding a couple cups of baby spinach. And you can add any other vegetables, but I like to saute them a little bit before adding them as a topping, but you could just use them fresh as a topping. Just cook them for about 2 to 3 minutes, and until they get cooked and slightly the spinach gets slightly wilted. Add about a pinch of sea salt and a pinch of cayenne. There I go again, right? I love my cayenne pepper, but of course for AIP you have to omit that. And that's it. And now all you have to do is see if your pizza has finished baking. So done. I baked it for about 26 minutes, and see how the bottom is kind of crispy. You could bake it for a couple extra more minutes if you wanted it more crispier. And then I'm going to add this tomato free sauce, which is absolutely delicious. And then I'm also going to add the avocado sauce to the rest of it. And yes, it's really thick, and that allows it to kind of spread it nicely. Okay, and I just like to add all these vegetables. By the way, this pizza, the size that I have here, it can actually serve 2 people. Like my husband and I generally share this, and I also make like a salad for the both of us, and then that way we can share this pizza. And it's absolutely delicious actually. So I hope you try this. Alright, thanks for watching. Do visit cooktonourish.com for more recipes, and don't forget to subscribe and like my channel.